Well, we're at Aina o Makaha. This is the you pick date for Kupuna. But I would like this young lady to introduce herself and a little bit about herself and why are you here?
Aloha, I'm Myna. I am originally from the Marshall Islands. Migrated here young and grew up on Oahu since then. Bounced around the island but later settled in Waianae community and then grew up here since then. Graduated from the Hawaiian High School and then I left for college in Washington to pursue health science and then came back recently May and been working in the community since then. I've always believed that the community had my heart. I admire this community so much. There's such robust support and the people here are so amazing and it's much different than the other community. There's something about this community that makes you feel so beloved and that's what I appreciate so much. So I am here to give back what they've given me, which is all this effort and support and love and just want to extend that to the community.
So how do you apply health science, the education component, into the child, into the community?
I pursued health science thinking that I wanted to do like medical or like pre-med things, but after I graduated, I applied for a community health research assistant program with Hawaiian Coast Comprehensive, and I really enjoyed it. So I think that that aspect has like shifted, and my narrative of health science has been very like I've been very open-minded about it because I didn't think that research could be like pivoted this way. I thought you'd be in the lab, pipetting things, but community health research is much broader than that, and I appreciate that we get to work in different environments or like a different scope of work rather than just doing such academic work, which still have to do. But
Do you consider Aina o Makaha part of the health science application and exploration?
I would say yes. I don't think that others just consider that, but in my narrative, I do think that Aina should be considered as health and healing because this community and this Aina definitely does heal a lot and it does contribute to the well-being of youth and also the members of Havanas, Kapuna, and like everybody here. I think that everybody came in and walked in and they were like, wow, this is so peaceful and there's not a lot of activities or events that kind of contribute to one's health like that, like in comparison to the land and cultural traditions that we've been trying to revive for so long. So I do consider that this farm to be like part of one's health. And I grew up right across this, grew up at the school, and I do think that this been has like so pertinent to my education growing up. It wasn't just learning, but it was putting my hands in the soil, and I think that that's very like crucial for children to experience as they grow up. That there's different aspects of education and things that they need to explore. So that's
So did you go to Makaha?
Mm-hmm.
Right on. So you spent time here
Yeah.
as your education went
Yeah.
through elementary.
Mm-hmm. Grew up with Uncle Gigi, coming to the farm every week with Uncle Shannon there. So it's been really nice to come back.
Right on. Well, Gigi was always a peace advocate, peace and justice. So what peace comments did you learn from him? Or what does this farm really resonate when it comes to peace?
I think one of his most famous saying would be "Seeds of Hope." I remember when he came back for their anniversary to celebrate, and he was here. I believe was it November that he came here, and we were talking, and I had an interview with him for the Olala videos that I shared with you, which I have to share. I forgot. I was looking at it, and I saw that I have the video, but it's in the draft. So I was like, oh my gosh, all I had to press was send. So I will send that to you. I'm so sorry. But he was telling me, he was interviewing, he was like, all of these children here are seeds of hope, and each kid that comes here and walks into the farm or works on the Aina, those are seeds of hope that you invest in. You have to nurture and cultivate those children just like plants. And he was sharing that plants and all of these living things are no different than children. The more effort that you give them, the more they're gonna grow. And he was sharing about this tree too, that it was just a little seed and that he planted it not knowing what it would sprout to be, but it provided all this shade, and when people come here, they feel so engulfed by the peace that this tree brings, and it's just so beautiful that it's here that we get to sit under and exchange conversation and just spend quality time with one another. So I hope that answered your question.
A little bit. I'm sitting here looking around, and we talk about food sustainability and food forest, and this is really a demonstration of a food forest. A lot of Hawaiian indigenous food, and I noticed one of the dish that was made for the kupuna today was ulu chips, and the ulu was picked 2 hours ago right from that tree and processed, and even the salad that was made, it all comes out of here. The only thing that didn't come from the area was avocado, but that was also made with other ingredients from the farm. How do we expand this concept so that each home can have our own food forest?
I would love to know that answer too. But my take on that would be continuing to host events like this, or like the U Pick that just happened this Saturday. I know Chelsea them had some plant starters where people could grow like their own like herbs and stuff, and I took a basil tree.
Oh, right on.
So I think that kind of having these type of activities and events for community to engage in, and to also learn more about, how do you propagate this plant so that we could grow it from our own garden or from our own home. And it doesn't necessarily, you don't have to always have a piece of land, because that may not be the case for everybody. But I know there were a lot of people here sharing about how they propagate a lot of these herbs and vegetables just in their apartment, which a lot of people do live in. Like, they don't have a lot of space, but it still kind of shows that it's possible to grow and to nurture your own produce from your own home, which is nice. So I think that's my answer.
Right on. I do have another question, but how do we get more youth to be engaged here, to develop that peace mindset, but also the idea of planting for hope?
I think I don't know how you get kids more here. I believe that social media is a huge outlet that could reach and target the youth, as they are, very engaged in social media and always on different social platforms. So I know that Aina does a really great job with posting events like this, and we do see Hamanas and Keikis that come here with their family, and they do bring their families as well. I've asked them like, how'd you guys hear about this? And they're like, Chelsea always posts on the Aina Instagram. So I do appreciate that Aina does kind of do like outreach like that. But I think that having I hope like in the future that at least every school or community, or they have that kind of like a farm, or kind of like a learning based, like Aina based education that kind of allows them to be engaged in the farm, like how different schools come here and they have their children do like tours and engage in the farm or plant seeds, or with the.
Well, you're definitely an example of planting that seed of hope. Do you have any suggestions for anybody that's watching?
Just come. That's what Chelsea always says. Just come to the farm, and she always announces that this farm isn't just their farm, but this is for the community, and it doesn't matter where you're from, as long as you just come and engage and be respectful of the farm and be open-minded, have a growth mindset that there's a lot of work that goes into here, and you can be a part of that. So that's my one out to you guys.
Well, Aina o Makaha. See you here soon.